All right, well, for today's video, we are going to take a look at Drake's Land Cruiser. He's getting it prepped for more Expo. He's going to do a couple things to it. And so I thought while I was out there, he was trying to prove to me that it flexes better than my 4Runner, which is obviously just not true because we all know that Land Cruisers are terrible. Just kidding. They're not. But he had it out, so I thought, well, let's go take a look at it. So let me show you guys what we got going. Let's take a look at this incredible piece of junk. Just kidding. So I'm going to hand this over to Drake and have him give you a quick walk around of what he's done, kind of the story to when he first got the rig and got into wheeling as a whole, into this scene, into this industry, and eventually how he worked his way into the company.
Hey guys, my name is Drake. I am the shop manager here at Adventure Motors, and today we're going to show you about my 1994 Land Cruiser. So this is actually a fun story about how I actually came to be at Adventure Motors. So years ago, almost 5 years now, over 5 years now, I just kept seeing these things everywhere, and I don't know what caught my eye about them, but I just wanted one so bad. So then became my couple-year search to get one of these, and long story short, that's how I found Adventure Motors. So they actually had one for sale. I never heard of Adventure Motors. They were 10 minutes from my house, and I just stopped by and I looked at this Land Cruiser. Didn't end up buying it, but I met the guys from the shop, and again, long story short, after I bought this one, I drove right to Adventure Motors and knocked on the door every single weekend until Michael finally let me be in and let me get in here.
Now, hold on. By let you be in, what does that mean? Let you be in?
Well, so I started off doing just little side work when they were really... Yeah, just side work. Actually, the first job I ever did was put carpet in an 80 series. And it just kept going from there and more, and just really wanted to be there like full time. So then finally the time came right before COVID. And started in, and the rest is history. It's been almost 5 years now that we've been working together. So
that was a fun time. For those of you, obviously me behind here, I remember that time when Drake kept coming in, and one of the guys that worked for us at the time he asked him, man, how do I get a job here? And he was like, I don't know, I guess just keep asking Michael. And so he legitimately did that. Just kept showing up and just asking, can I work here? Yeah. And I really wish I'd hired him like 6 months before I did, because he's like the greatest in the world. But it was hilarious. He just kept showing up. He'd walk in and be like, hey Drake, how's it going?
Yeah.
And then now, so that,
now we're here.
So you started then. Mm-hmm. You went and found this thing out somewhere in Kansas,
yep.
in some lady's driveway. One side was perfect, one side was faded because of the sun.
Yeah.
And then from there, what was kind of your first experience like wheeling or off-roading, and when did you get the bug as far as like turning a stock, Land Cruiser into this?
It's so funny, like looking back, I was like, you know what? Toyota designed this thing to be great off-road. So I was like, I'm not going to lift it. I'm not going to do anything like that. And then lo and behold, like after I started here, parts started trickling in, took some 80 series parts off another one, threw it on here. So, I mean, this car has been through so many different changes of different suspensions, bumpers, all that stuff. But yeah, back in the day, I was like, I don't need to modify it. Toyota did it. Like, it's awesome. And well, I mean, you can see where we're at now.
And then now.
It's gone through, like I said, multiple. I think this is the third suspension we've had on it. I don't even know how many sets of wheels and tires that have been on there.
I hear is not the last.
There's some new ones.
I think there's some new ones
coming soon, hopefully.
I think this hat here might speak to
allegedly
what we're seeing on this here before more Expo.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so the first iterations of the build was really just, I think the first thing was off of an LX450. I just got a super base Old Main Emu kit, springs and shocks, nothing else. Started with that.
Right?
Used. Oh, like 150,000 mile used, like nothing pretty. But we started off with that. It was good, I had it on 33s. Thought I was pretty much done. I was like, this is it. This is perfect. And then we had an extra ARB bumper laying around, and so that shortly went on. Not too long after that, moved up to 35s. I was actually on my honeymoon in Colorado, and Michael calls me. This was like right after I started to, like not too long after. Or no, it's not my honeymoon. It was my first anniversary.
It was your first anniversary.
First anniversary. We were out in Colorado. I remember I was sitting in an apartment on our last day there because we had camped every single night before, and my wife was worn out, and we just had to actually get an Airbnb. So I was sitting there, and she saw my phone and said Michael on it, and she's like, I told him not to call. And he's like, I just remember he's like, hey, we're signing up with Ironman 4x4. You want a suspension? I said, sure. So then we had the Ironman on there, and that was a great kit for the last few years.
And that was their
Foam Cell Pro 4-inch.
4-inch.
Yeah, it was their 4-inch. And I really had no complaints about it. I mean, it rode a little stiff, but once it just made me add weight. So then came the drawers, then came the bumpers, like all that kind of stuff. But it was honestly a great performing suspension. There's still actually a lot of Ironman parts on here. But yeah, we just kind of eventually snowballed into some other stuff. I wanted to learn to weld, so I had a coastal off-road high clearance front bumper on here for a while. And then, you know, the pleasures of working here is another 80 series came in with a DC Fabrications rear bumper. And Michael's like, hey, you want that? Just have the other car ready for sale by the next weekend. So I spent all weekend here putting a bumper that had to be rebuilt on the truck, and I had that on there. So it's kind of been all the different armors that we've had. I've had 3 different front bumpers. I'm on my second rear bumper. And I don't think I'll be switching it up anytime soon because this descent bumper is awesome.
In fact, I don't know that you should ever switch, ever.
Oh man,
It's probably one of the best rear bumpers in existence for an 80 series.
you know, it's not the lightest, it's not the most high clearance for what it is, but what it makes up for in the ease of use with everything and just how tough it is. I've drugged this thing off so many things, and plus, I mean,
like when you got stuck.
No, I could have got out.
No, like when you were stuck.
Yeah, I mean,
I had to pull you out.
I'm pretty sure if I reach up in here, yeah, I mean, that's still from that one time. Yeah, it dug up in here, my license plate all bent up. I mean, but it's honestly been awesome having this. I mean, we can get into it too, but the latch systems, everything about descents stuff is just, it's been awesome to have on there.
So as it sits right now, you're on 37s.
Yep.
Do you have plans to go any larger, or are you happy with that? And what gears are you running on this truck right now?
So I never thought I'd get to 37s,
Yep.
and now I love them.
Yep.
I will say 35s did almost everything the same way, but
They did.
the 37s look so much
Did they
cooler.
ride better?
I don't know. They rode pretty good. I miss having an all-terrain. I will say that. For how much, being in the Midwest, we have to drive so far to get to anything that I do kind of miss having an all-terrain. I will be probably switching to those in the future when these are all worn out. Maybe like the Toyo RT or something.
Yeah. RT Trail.
But now after seeing it on 37s, I can't go smaller. Like I really can't.
No way.
And then
Perfect size on this.
it really is. It is. Like I thought about maybe going, since there's a set of 38s in there, I was like, this would be kind of cool, but I don't know. That being said, though, the gears are Nitro gears, 529s. Actually, the rears are Yukons because I broke them. I broke the pinion bearing let loose. So Nitro up front, Yukon in the back. Had no issues with those since. I will say it's a little low geared for highway. With the 4-speed and the 37s, I'm sitting at around 3,000 RPM at 65, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's a little low, but when you actually get the truck to where it needs to be, it's incredible. It drives so good off-road. Not much can really stop it. But, yeah, and then underneath, there's not really too much else. I've rebuilt the knuckles 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Just
If
braking.
you're at, what, 300,000 miles?
I had 280. I'm about to crack 280 on it. I bought it at 199. So, I mean, that's 80,000 miles of, there's a lot of highway in there, don't get me wrong, but it's also a lot of,
Predominantly off-road.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of off-road miles on this thing. So it's by no means a show car. I don't plan on keeping the miles down or doing like that. Like it's not pretty. I'm missing flares because it keep getting ripped off. Like, but it's, I'm not afraid to scratch it.
You're not afraid to scratch it, but also, aren't you planning on getting that flare put back on? But then you're going to
Yeah. So
trimming, you're going to flex test and trim and get it prepped.
Yeah, that's why this is right here.
We've got our other faithful Toyota here.
That's right. Yeah, so this side actually has already been kind of done. It's some people say it's a lazy way to do it, but there's a lot of patina here, and somebody actually hit me, so this is a door off another 80.
Yeah.
But this side was the good side. It was almost perfect. It just sat in the shade the whole time, until I owned it. But we actually did the Vice Grip Garage wipe on clear coat, and it's really dirty right now. I haven't washed it since we had nice weather. But the hood, everything was like kind of just dry rotted and just like peeling and stuff. But we did the Vice Grip Garage clear coat. It's by no means perfect, but tell you what, guys, it was $150, and I don't have to care if it gets scratched again because I can just do it again.
Now, I will speak to that because Drake came into the shop one day, and he walked up to me and he was like, "Hey, I am gonna buy some wipe on clear coat," and I was like, "You're the worst."
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Wipe on clear coat. He goes, "Dude, check this stuff out." And you know, he chatted about it. He goes, "Look, I just don't want it to peel anymore." So he like went through and wet sanded it and cleared it all up. And he's like, "I love the color. I'm never gonna pay to paint the truck, and but I want it just kind of shiny again." And after he did it, obviously it's very dirty right now.
Yeah.
From 15 feet, 10 feet, it looked incredible.
Yeah.
And then you get up close to it, you know,
And you
here,
can
I'll
see
zoom in here.
little
I mean,
lines
you
in
get up,
it.
you get up close to it, then you can see the fading of it. But that's I don't know. It's obviously a very
For the wheeling
look,
pig,
but
or
for being what it is,
yeah,
which is this isn't your daily. This is your wheeling pig. This is your adventure rig. This is like
yeah,
you go out, you and your wife and your family. You like
Yeah.
you take this and you get into the woods.
yeah. I don't want to make it so nice where I can't take it out and I have to be too protective over it.
And get really into the tight stuff, like
Yeah.
really the
Oh,
close
yeah.
trails where you're running against the
I
side
normally
of
go
trees.
first to make room for the other trucks because I just don't have to care, and that's
Unless I'm around with you.
we'll see.
Sometimes.
We'll see. But no, that's been the ultimate thing about having this truck is just I don't have to care. I mean, I don't want body damage, but
Right.
for scratches and just the normal wheeling that we do around here, it doesn't bother me, and you have more fun like that. So this car is all just built for fun. Everything in it. I mean, the interior is not super nice yet.
Yep.
Don't know if I'll ever make it super nice. We've got a 75-pound dog that runs wild in there. But yeah, I mean, that's been the gist of this whole car is just get out and have fun in it. So
So you've got just making sure we've got
Yeah.
descent off-road front and rear bumpers,
correct.
and then what winch and lights are you running?
So the lights in here are diodynamics for the fogs and the SS5 light bar. These are the clears, but the backlighting's all amber. Same for down here. These are actually the street legal DOT approved fog lights.
Yeah.
In the end, I kind of wish I would have just not done the street legal ones because it's so high that it blinds everybody anyways. So I can't even really use them. The SS5 though is a wickedly bright light bar.
Yes.
For only having the 4, I think it fits perfect with this mid-height bull
And
bar.
it's such a good look.
It's cool looking. I love it. And then these are just the descent that they send the bumper with these and those cutouts. There was a little bit of modification to get these to fit in the bumper, but it's super easy. You just bolt it from the back side instead of on the front side, and it'll work just fine. For the winch, we have the Come Up Seal Slim 9.5.
Okay.
I truthfully haven't got to use it yet because Michael winched me out too fast last time. I almost got stuck. But the cool thing is Descent builds their bumpers around that winch. So just the ease of use of having your control
designed.
box right here is just unbeatable. Because when I had the Coastal Off-Road, I loved the way it looked. That'll turn back off. When I had the Coastal Off-Road, it was super tight. I mean, that bumper only stuck out to right here.
Right.
But trying to fit a winch in there was horrible. And anytime I had to work on it, it was horrible. So I really just...
Obviously, if you look here, it's not that it's. I mean,
No.
The approach angle on that is really great. It's still a very high clearance
I
bumper.
haven't touched it yet on trying to crawl up anything now.
Yep.
There was allegedly a hole that I fell into that it did kind of catch on there. But other than that, it's been no issues at all. We're getting it ready for another show here pretty soon, so getting the fender flares back on, getting some other stuff done. I am going to have to go back in and redo a bunch of wiring because last time I was here every single night and every single day before the show for 3 weeks and I was exhausted.
And you were
kinda
working
rushed.
on everybody else's car.
Yeah.
While
it was-
yours was still just the last one to get touched.
Yeah, so we're gonna go back in and clean a lot of this stuff up. I got some underhood stuff to clean up and finish. I'm gonna redo this side of the truck's clear coat because I rushed through it, and it's not perfect. But other than that, there's really not too much done. I mean, the truck's got 280,000 miles. I've done simple stuff like alternators, valve cover gaskets, just gaskets really. Haven't done a starter. It's this OE starter from 1994.
Crazy.
Somehow it's still working.
Somehow.
This thing gets swamped through the Ozarks mud and clay and water.
Regular. I see water up to here.
We'll have to cut to a link of that video where I went through and the water hit my windshield
Okay,
and
I
just kept
remember.
going.
So you came in, the water kind of came up to here.
Yeah,
And then back, when you dipped in, it hit up to the top of your jerry can. Now
it was
that
wild.
was deep.
It was wild. And the next day when I got home, I ordered the Ironman snorkel. The next day I was like,
That
okay,
was-
I've pushed my luck too many times.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me how they used to build these things because it's rough. It's not perfect, but it runs and drives darn near perfect. I mean, I drive it almost every day. It's not my daily, doesn't have to be, but I end up driving this over. I have a 96 LS400 as well, and I normally end up driving this because you just can't not drive it. You just can't not drive it. It's so cool.
Look at this thing. Yep.
But
So 37s, and then talk to me real quick before we finish up about the suspension and just kind of your thoughts on the suspension down on the truck.
yeah, so when it comes to springs and shocks, I finally was able to go up to the Dobinson's MRRs with their VT coils. and we just flex tested it. It's awesome. The MRRs, I used to not think, and I sell this stuff every day, so I used to not think it'd be worth the jump up to go to the MRRs. Oh my God, the first time I put it on, I drove around the block and I came back grinning ear to ear just because of how soft it was. And I kind of like the floaty, soft. I don't want it super firm. I like it.
Yep.
I like a Cadillac. And
Now, having the MRRs, you've got adjustability.
exactly.
So you can,
yeah.
you can set it for, so I mean, obviously you have it set now because you're going back and forth to work, you're just driving
Right.
around town.
Yeah.
You get on the trail and you adjust it.
Oh yeah, it was like the coolest thing. Last time we were out, we were hitting this washboards and we're trying to go like 45, 50 miles an hour, and you're just shaking like crazy. And we're all like, we all forgot that we had MRRs on our trucks. So we're like, hey guys, let's stop real quick. We all got out, turned the high-speed dampening all the way down to soft, and it made a night and day difference right there, just within a matter of a couple minutes of adjusting it all.
Yep.
And I will also say, when this is a pretty heavy truck. The first time I took it around the block, and the first couple days I drove it, I went straight to a wheeling trip the day after I drove it, or I put the suspension on.
Which, mind you, again, I'm going to pop in here for a second. That's kind of the norm for him.
Yeah.
And I say that him when I'm just as guilty.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's like, let's do all these changes, let's do all this stuff, and then, oh, yeah, we're going to leave at 5:30 in the morning to go wheeling. So
no testing, no anything,
None.
no torque checks, or I mean, we do good work, so like we do it. But like, today I went back through, and it's been a little bit since I've had this done, and I found some stuff that needed to be snugged up a little bit. We just jump right into it. So when I first did that, I was driving down the Ozarks, and I took a turn on the highway. I thought I was gonna roll. I was like, oh boy. But then it just takes time to dial in for you specifically, and I just turned the low speed all the way up, and now I mean it's so cool how much it changes individually. So if you're thinking about doing that, and you might not think it's worth it, it definitely is, and I can vouch for it because I didn't used to think it was, but I love it.
and, you get like that, and then you get customers like Seth in here where
Yeah.
he went from IMS, did the MRRs one time, and now every single truck we do, he's
Yeah,
immediately like,
every
nope,
time.
MRRs.
And the thing is, and the other thing that I like, because this car, I drive it a lot, is I don't want to have to rebuild stuff all the time. And so I even talked to Dobinsons before I put them on, and I was like, what's your real world testing and rebuild and stuff like that like on them? And they said they've had the same kits on their trucks for 4 or 5 years of their test trucks and still haven't had to rebuild them. I mean, you can just to get new fluid and stuff like that, but no need to do it.
Yep.
So I'm going to put it to the test, but so far, I mean, not a single issue whatsoever. Other than that, I have the VT long travel coils in there. They've been outstanding, the amount of flex. I have to get longer brake lines again. So I'm on my third set of brake lines, just longer and longer and longer. It's dumb how much it flexes. It doesn't make any sense. But, at the same time, while we're doing all this, I just put the new Dobinsons rear arms in. So the rear, upper, and lower control arms are all new. I put those on again right before we went on this trip. So those are new. I just put some Duro bump stops, front and rear. The rear still don't contact yet, so might have to space those down a little bit, but it's right to where I want it, to where it's not. I don't want to limit the travel, but I also don't want to go overextend anything.
Yep.
And so when I get those dialed in with just another little spacer, those will be perfect. Same on the front, and then for the front with these big heavy 37s, I haven't done anything to the gearbox yet, but I do have the Ironman 4x4 heavy duty steering kit with 555 tie rod ends. One other thing that not a people I actually get a lot of questions about is this steering dampener from Dobinsons. That thing is awesome. That's another one where I didn't think it was going to make a big difference, but boy, it sure did. I kept feeling super floaty on the road, and every time I turned, it just felt like there was lag, and just being able to just get in there and tighten it up made a huge difference.
That's great.
But yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else that's too crazy about it. It's just a turnkey rig that you just hop in, go, and you don't ever have to worry about it. It's gotten me home from every single trip, barely this last time. My front wheel was tilted about like that, and I'm not sure how it stayed on. But we did 800 miles that week, and I got to my driveway.
And mind you, 94, nearly 300,000 miles.
Yep.
You don't wheel it light. You wheel it hard.
Yeah.
And you service it and you maintain it. But
Yeah.
you've got pennies in this truck as compared to somebody who would go out and buy
Yeah.
a $40,000 or $50,000 truck.
Yeah.
And then you slowly built it to this point to now you're at the point where you just throw your gear in and you go.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah, I mean, half my gear's already in there with the drawers that are in there. So I mean, it's literally grab my wife, grab my dog, grab our clothes, and we're out. I don't really have to pack up hardly anything else to it. So it's been a blast to have, and just it turns heads everywhere. Everybody, even if it's kind of rough, people they just freak out about it every time we go anywhere. So it's been an awesome rig, and it just keeps getting better and better. And being able to work with these cool companies that make all these awesome parts has just been a dream come true. Honestly, it's been a blast. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah. And hopefully soon we'll have some more stuff to show off.